evening and welcome to the final episode of this groundbreaking new series, Going Public, the first of its kind here in Sri Lanka. It's been an insightful as well as informative journey so far, and on today's program we have top officials of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka to put to rest any lingering doubts you may have with regard to listing your company on the Colombo Stock Exchange. And I'll hand you over to the man who's been asking all the right questions on the series so far, Mr. Vasula Premawardana. Vasula, over to you.
Thank you, Amma, and welcome to Going Public. Thus far, we featured many companies who came and spoke of their experiences in taking their private firm into the public arena via listing in the Colombo Stock Exchange. We also had officials and experts of the capital market who came and discussed the benefits and perhaps the processes of taking a private firm public. Today we have a very distinguished panel who's going to talk about the overall capital market and macro views of the regulatory aspects plus the development aspects of the capital market. I have here with me Dr. Nalaka Godahewa, the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, and Mr. Lorita Abeysinghe, commission member of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka. Welcome to Going Public. Nalaka, I'll just start off straight with you. You came on in a time when there was a lot of turmoil going on in the market. I think in 2011-12 period, the market was around 4,000, I think. There two chairmen had resigned. I think there were two director general posts that was vacant for a while. And of course the stock market itself was capitulated to the uncertainties, and thus it found out it at around 4,000, 4,500. But of course, since you came on for 2 years, we have seen stability, which has of course evidenced by the market now at around 6,500. So when you offered the job, Nalaka, and you took it on, what was going through your head, and then what have you done to bring this stability back into the market?
Vasula, I think it's important that we understand the situation at that time before we discuss what actually was done thereafter. I actually took over as chairman SEC in August 2012. By that time the market was in a way going through a crisis because market was coming down from an index going up to about 7,000. It was coming down. When I came as SEC chairman, it was around 4,500, and it was a continuous downfall which was creating so much unpleasantness in the market, so much turmoil, as you mentioned. What is important is to understand what caused this. If you look at what happened before that, in 2009, when the war ended, the stock market was at about 1,400 all share price index, and it was around 1,400 for a very long period. It was a kind of stagnant market. But after the war, with the optimism setting in, the market started going up, positive sentiments, people started making money, and there was a rapid growth in the share price, and a lot of people started rushing into the market because they saw it as a place where they can come and make quick money. As you know, anywhere in the world, stock market is not a place where you can make a quick money. It is not a casino.
Right.
It's a place where you must invest knowledgeably, take time and a long-term perspective, and then make money accordingly. But what happened here was people came rushing, looking for short-term gains, and of course they gained during the first year. The market shot up to about 7,000, which was a totally unrealistic price level, and then it crashed. When it crashed, the panic set in. People started losing money big time. By that time, a lot of money people were investing using borrowed money, and it was coming down continuously for almost more than 12 months, continuous crash, which was creating all these problems. People started looking for scapegoats. People started looking for reasons why the market crashed, and a lot of allegations came. A lot of reasons were given, right or wrong. A lot of reasons were given, and that was the crisis that was there when I came in. When I came in with the commission at that time, we wanted to look at the situation as a macro picture. Of course, the expectation was the chairman and the commission would act purely as prosecutors, try to find out reasons for the market crash, try to find out some people who caused it and punish it. But we saw something bigger than that. Of course, that was something that had to be done. For that we had the system in place. Secretariat was fully equipped to do the investigations proper and finish and take action accordingly. But we saw something more than that we had to do. Whilst we bring the confidence back to the market, we had to understand what we need to do for the future. Because here is a market which was stagnant for a very, very long period of time. And when the country's economy is set to grow, we had the challenge to align the capital market with the economic growth. So we had to put in place a proper plan, which we did. We brought in a strategic plan, a 3-year plan, 10-point action plan, and we worked on all those things to bring the stability back. It is not just one thing, but all these things that we addressed, I think, which brought the stability that you see in the market today.
Right, certainly, and I think the market also obviously has responded likewise, and that is why perhaps it has moved
I must
to
also
6,000.
add
Yes,
one thing to this. We also took a very consultative process for all the decisions after Dr. Godaheva took over. We consulted all stakeholders at all times. All the critical decisions, we went in for a public opinion, and then we gave the public the opportunity to voice their opinion, come back to us with their valid reasons as to why it should or it should not be implemented. And this consultative process, all the stakeholders acknowledged very well and responded. And then after a consultative process, after a public consultation, the allegations and the criticism came down to very minimal levels, because everybody was given an opportunity. Level playing field was created, and then that also was one of the reasons as to why.
Right. Yes, Loretta. So, what do you think of the performance of the market in this last period?
Vasula, let me present some statistics to begin with, so that it will give a better picture as to how the market has performed during the period under discussion. The stock market recorded a steady growth during the year 2013, with the benchmark all share price index recording a growth of 4.8, and the blue chip S&P Sri Lanka 20 index recording an increase of 5.8%. Both indices have recorded a growth of 6.6 so far for this year. And the total market capitalization of the Colombo Stock Exchange stood at 2.4 billion at the end of year 2013, and was at 2.6 billion on the 12th May 2014. That's a significant growth. The average daily turnovers, if I am to talk about, so far for the year is over 10 billion. This was against 828 million recorded in 2013. Foreign investors also accounted for 36.3% of the total market turnover, while the domestic investors accounted for the balance 63.7%. Foreign investors are the net buyers in the market, with net purchases of 165.7 million in 2014. This is a very significant external confidence that we have gained, the market has gained.
Right.
When as Dr. Godaheva mentioned, like during the crisis period and soon after that, when the market was crashing, we saw a very low level of foreign activity.
Right.
But this is how has the stability the current commission has brought in, together with the government policy initiatives, is quite very well.
Because what is evidence is that the
supported
investors
by the foreign
are comfortable putting money back into the
especially
stock
foreign
market,
investors,
and especially the
majority of foreign investors are very informed investors, mostly foreign funds. So they take informed decisions. So now that they are comfortable, happy at the way the things are happening, so they are bringing the money back. So this net foreign inflow is an evidence for that aspect. Plus 119.4 billion was raised in the primary market in 2013, a record amount for a given year. 28 debt initial public offerings raised a record amount of 68.2 billion. The budget for the year 2013 to develop the corporate debt market had a significant positive impact on the performance of the debt market that I just mentioned.
Right.
At the end of 2013, there were 730,000 accounts registered with the Central Depository System. Colombo Stock Exchange was one of the top performers within the region in 2013, ahead of the Singapore Stock Exchange, the Bombay Stock Exchange, and the Hong Kong Stock Exchange.
So given that we are looking at, like Nalaka mentioned, the market coming back from about 4,500 to the previous high levels, the economic conditions in the country, of course, prevailing is also very healthy. So you spoke about like a 10-point plan and a 3-point plan. Can you elaborate more on that? How you managed to actually stabilize this wayward ship, perhaps?
No, it's like this. As I mentioned earlier, in 2012, when the Commission sat down after a series of consultative meetings with the industry stakeholders, we came up with a kind of a plan, kind of a strategic plan for the next 3 years. We basically said, within 3 years' time, we need to bring back the market to a level where that it is sophisticated enough to be on par with the rest of the region.
So it is some concrete action.
Right. So, if you go back to early 90s, we were ahead of most of our South Asian counterparts in terms of technology, in terms of infrastructure, but then we missed out because of the war. For a very long period, we couldn't make any new investments, couldn't do any new things. Market got stagnant, market didn't get sophisticated. So in our 3-year plan, what we basically wanted to do was to catch up and become on par with the rest of the region. And also we set certain goals what we want to achieve at the end of the day, like as a percentage of GDP where we would like to be, in terms of number of listed companies where we would like to be, in terms of legislation what are the changes that we would like to see. And to reach these goals, we came up with a 10-point action plan.
Right.
These 10 points covered more or less everything that we felt that we need to do to bring the market back to the level that we would like to be.
Right.
The
ideal situation.
Ideal situation, which covered aspects like changes to the legislation, basically changing, the amending of SEC Act, demutualizing Colombo Stock Exchange, developing the infrastructure, introducing what was missing, enhancing our educational and awareness level, developing new products, enhancing corporate debt market which was lagging way behind. Likewise, there were 10 areas where we felt that we need to focus on, and we came up with a plan, not only a plan but also a kind of a very structured approach to implement those things. We appointed teams to work on each project.
On that note, we will take a small station break. Please come back. Welcome back to Going Public, and we have here with us on our distinguished panel today the Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Nalaka Kudehela, and Commission Member Lolita Abisinghe. Nalaka, you were on the 10-point plan and about developing the teams.
What I was basically trying to say is, having a vision is one thing, implementing that is another thing. So we want to make sure that these 10 points are implemented. For that, what we did was we appointed teams representing SEC Commission members, CSC board members, and some of the industry stakeholders, and we have given them project teams to work with them, and we are working according to certain time plan. This is, as I mentioned, roughly within about 3 years' time we would like to see all 10 projects being completed. And some of these projects we could finish within a very short period of time. In fact, things like amending the SEC Act, we have already completed our part, and we have handed it over to the ministry to do the final fine-tuning and present it to the cabinet. Corporate debt market, developing corporate debt market, almost 90% of the work has already been done. In fact, as Mr. Lolita mentioned earlier, we are already seeing a significant growth in the corporate debt market. All others, I can say we are very much on target at the moment. Some of those will take the whole 3 years, some of them will be finished within next couple of months' time, but essentially we are happy with the progress.
Right. Lorita, anything to add to that?
Yes, absolutely. As Dr. Godeheva said, it's not only simply a 10 key points, but it's the strategic capital market development roadmap we are working on. There is an unprecedented development in this exercise, is that SEC and CSE are working hand in hand together. And then another thing I would say is the entire commission participates at most of the project committee meetings, and now we have 2 commission meetings a month plus several project committee meetings, and then the entire commission and entire board of directors of Colombo Stock Exchange are actively involved in the process. And this capital market development roadmap has several significant goals, one of them being taking Sri Lanka from a frontier market level into a emerging market level. So this capital market development roadmap will significantly help us reach that. Few more things apart from Dr. Godeheva mentioned, I like to mention here. One such thing is attracting new funds and enhancing the activity levels of existing funds is one of the projects that we are working on. So we will be talking about it I think in detail a little later, but for the moment so we want to increase the awareness in all the financial hubs where fund managers are based in.
Right.
Another thing, very significant thing, is development of the unit trust. Unit trust industry for a capital market is very important. That is the place where retail investors initially can invest their money in and gain some experience, and then these unit trusts are managed and operated by professionals, experts, so that retail investors running a risk of losing their entire investment or their lifetime saving is very minimal. Right. And then the unit trust industry has had a very good reputation in Sri Lanka, that they have been consistent in terms of generating returns for the unit holders.
Right.
So we have gone few steps ahead, helping the unit trust industry to grow. And then we have extended our cooperation unit trust to the unit trust industry to increase their awareness level and get them more unit holders.
Right. We shall get back to the more detailed points. There was a couple of things that I think Nalaka brought up I would like to question and get some elaboration on. Of course, first and foremost would be the SEC Act. Literally, if they don't get the act together, that's where the problem actually stems from. First and foremost, what was the requirement for the SEC Act change?
Actually, this is not a change of act. I mean, there's a kind of a misunderstanding amongst many people that we are trying to come up with a new act. It is not so. The current SEC Act is SEC Act of 1987 is quite robust.
Fantastic.
It's quite comprehensive.
Exactly.
But when we want to take the market to the next level, when you look at the developments in the rest of the world, there are certain amendments that are required, the way we operate. Those are the amendments that we are trying to bring in the SEC Act amendments. Let me give a simple example. Now, when we talk about things like insider trading or various market manipulations and various problems, the current SEC Act allows only for criminal prosecution, which makes it very difficult sometimes to go and take action, because it takes years and years and years to prove a particular case, using criminal proceedings. Whereas the rest of the world has moved into more civil and administrative sanctions, which is missing in our act. So in our new act amendments, we are trying to bring this civil and administrative sanctions into the act. Another area is where, when we are trying to develop the infrastructure, when we try to bring in new products, develop the debt market, bring in derivatives, the current act does not provide everything that we want to have in the legislation to support those developments. Those are the amendments that we want. So essentially, what we are essentially trying to make is to make the Act more comprehensive to take on the challenge of the future.
Certainly. I think given that when originally the Act was brought in, even the capital market industry itself, even the rest of the world, had certain criteria, and those criteria have changed now.
Exactly.
And especially in, I think, if you look at the Sri Lankan example of it, we were ready for it then, but now it's like we are trying to drive a Morris Minor when we have expressways.
Not that bad,
because
but still, I mean, I would say our Act is quite strong, but still, there are things to catch up. World has moved on, as you mentioned, Vasula. So we need to be on par with them very fast.
So it's important that, I guess, at least the SEC Amendment Act happens fast enough.
Yes.
I would
we
think.
have done our part as far as SEC is concerned. That is actually project number 1. We have completed our part, and the comprehensive draft proposals have been handed over to the Treasury.
Right.
And the Treasury is also getting an independent team to evaluate that. I hope they will complete that process faster.
Right.
The moment they are ready, it can go to the Cabinet.
Fantastic. So we look forward to hearing.
We all are looking forward to
to get this.
in terms of SEC Act amendments,
Yes.
These amendments were not only homegrown. We have benefited from the expertise from multilateral agencies like was it World Bank or IDB, and then we have consulted them. We have consulted other jurisdictions and learned a lot from that. So, and then it's a very comprehensive piece of legislation that is in the making.
That's right. In fact, when I was working at the SEC, we were working on the Act amendments, and I remember quite a few of the changes that we wanted to bring in. Talking of which, basically, is the infrastructure that facilitates and we ride on for the next level that we hope to take our capital market and the country and the economy too. Talking of the infrastructure, there was a lack of a clearing corporation that I remember, and I think at present the SEC is working together with the central bank and the stock exchange to kind of fast track this development. Anything you want to add on that?
Yes, the clearing corporation is also one of the projects that we are working on. As you very correctly mentioned, a clearing corporation is essential for a development of a capital market, stock exchange, because most of the sophisticated instruments that are available in rest of the world, we are not having in Sri Lanka yet because of a lack of a clearing corporation. Once we introduce a CCP, we can bring in derivatives, we can bring in various other instruments that are required to take the market to a next level. So what we have done now, we have started a project with Central Bank. Central Bank and us, along with Colombo Stock Exchange, we are working on a project to implement a CCP before the end of 2015.
Right.
That project also has moved on as per the time targets. Probably by end of next month, we will be appointing certain consultants to guide us through this process, and the expectation is before 2015 that should be in place. That will be a huge development as far as infrastructure is concerned.
Right. And then the next leading question would be, of course, the next step of the capital market is, of course, we've been talking about it for almost a decade, I think, and then we got onto the Act about maybe 5 years, 6 years ago, is the demutualization of the Colombo Stock Exchange. What is the necessity for this, and what is the impact that you think it will have in the capital market?
See, most of the stock exchanges all over the world started as non-profit making entities, which are kind of member-driven organizations.
Right.
The stockbrokers getting together and running the institute, and then a trend started in the Western world, which spread throughout the world, where this organization moved from non-profit oriented organization to profit oriented organization.
Right.
More business, which are managed like
As an institution.
as institutions.
The exchange itself.
Yes,
That's right.
Now, if you look at around us, almost every stock exchange in the region, in the world, is demutualized.
Right.
Whereas in Sri Lanka, it is not demutualized yet. It is still a member-driven organization. The idea of Colombo Stock Exchange also getting demutualized came, I think, into the picture somewhere around 2002 with the ADB project, but now we are in almost 2014. We have not still been able to do that. So we are very keen, as part of our 10-point action plan, to demutualize Colombo Stock Exchange again, probably within the next 1 to 1.5 years time, and make it a real business-like organization. Let them do business, and we as regulators will regulate that.
Right.
So we will play that dual role.
Right. Anything they want to add on that? Or?
No, demutualization process has benefited many markets all over the world, and looking at those examples, the benefits are very evident, and all those markets have performed better after demutualization. Yes.
Lolita, we'll get back to you on that. We have to make a short session break. Welcome back to Going Public. We were on, I think, demutualization. I think we answered that quite sufficiently. For the last couple of decades, I think the stock exchange or the capital market in Sri Lanka was focused on equities. We've talked about stock only. Now we have taken a new drive towards promoting corporate debt. Anything you want to say on that, Nala?
Yeah, you're absolutely right when you say that for so many years we were focusing only on equity. In fact, if you just go back to 2012, the composition of equity versus debt in our market was something like 98% to 2%. The debt market was very, very small. But when you look at the rest of the world, generally, debt market is bigger than equity in any other stock exchange that you're talking about. So what was lacking was, one is the awareness aspect, the second one is the basic facilities that are required, the tax incentives, etc., to encourage the debt market. So in 2012, we went to the Treasury, we requested for certain budget concessions for the debt market. Removal of withholding tax is one of the key requests that we made, to which Treasury agreed, and also we did a lot of things to encourage people to look at corporate debt as a method of raising money rather than just looking at equity, and this work has paid dividends. If you look at 2013, we had 28 debt IPOs as opposed to 1 in 2011. Right. 2012, and as opposed to 12 billion raised from debt IPOs in 2012, in 2013 we raised 68 billion. Right. So there's a significant growth. Right. And if you look at the first 4-5 months in 2014, we can see the trend continuing, and this year definitely we will do even better. So I think we are catching up. We are becoming like other markets, using debt instruments as a good method of raising capital.
Fantastic. So we are obviously mobilizing the savings into a different direction of direct participation in the bonds of corporates. Fantastic.
I would like to add one more thing to that. We are not going to stop at that. We are going to go beyond. In fact, Secretary to the Treasury, Dr. Jayasundara, requested Securities and Exchange Commission to come up with proposals as to how we can help the SMEs to raise debt with the help of the government in terms of coming up with collateral for those who don't have necessary collateral. Right. Where the government will look at our proposals and consider them to include in the next budget to extend this debt privilege to the SMEs as well, and to enhance the SME capacity as well.
Well, that actually would be quite a novel process if that is the case, because obviously the bond rating and the individual company's capacity to get a good rating is going to drive people to whether want to invest or not, as opposed to a treasury bill which the government backs and a private company which perhaps, if you don't know anything about, people might get nervous. So what you're saying is the government is willing, in the case of small and medium enterprise, to come in and perhaps shoulder a bit of that risk the investor may have from investing in the bond. Am I correct to say that?
This is currently at discussion stage, as Mr. Lolita mentioned. Secretary of the Treasury, Dr. Jayasundara, has asked us to look at options. So we are looking at the models that are available in other part of the world. And also we have our own ideas, as Secretary mentioned. So we'll see what we can come up with. I mean, eventually if we can come up with tool to help the SME sector, that will definitely help the economic development.
I think it will also not only help, it will also encourage people to get out and go and do and start their own private and small enterprises.
Exactly.
And being a part of the economy. Another question I would want to ask is on the growth of the capital market itself. You all have embarked on, I think, almost a two-pronged effort of educating the people of this country to invest in their own economy that they hope to, they should have faith in, and also in encouraging foreign institutional and retail investors. So do you have any programs that you are currently doing that focuses on this?
Yes, actually we have been paying a lot of attention to encourage foreign investments in 2013 as well as it's continuing in 2014. When we talk about the development of our economy, foreign investment is going to play a vital role in whatever the sphere that we are talking about. That is why the government is very keen to promote foreign direct investment, foreign investment to the country. And capital market is also one way where we can attract foreign investment. So what we have done during 2013, we ran a series of road shows in different countries like in India, in Dubai, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, and this year we are going to UK very soon. Go in and talk into the foreign fund managers about the opportunities available in the country, and educating them about what's happening, what's the future, and that has been paying dividends. In fact, if you look at 2013 overall trading activities, something like 40% of all activities came through foreign participation, and this year also we see the same trend, and we like to continue that.
Certainly, because it's fresh capital coming into the country and certainly going into investments and trickling hopefully into the economy of the country. You also brought in about the unit trust as a first step for the local retailers to be able to get a taste of the capital market, because obviously if they don't know about how to and actually go and make any money out of the investments, you can at least certainly go to a professional, and that's basically what a unit trust is about. So what are the specific things that you have done to encourage this?
You mean the unit trust
Unit
industry?
trust, yes, growth of unit trust in the retail industry.
Before going to unit trust, please let me elaborate a little bit more on the benefits that Sri Lanka has derived as a result of foreign investor forums.
Yes.
Some call it road shows, but we want to call it investor forums,
Right.
because it not only is important for the capital market, it is important for entire country. We go out and build the image of the country. We tell the world the current economic development taking place, current infrastructure development taking place. So it not only encourages investment into the capital market, it also encourages FDI, and it is, once again, we don't stop at that. We go for follow-up action too, and we send teams from CSC and SCC to go meet them and get their feedback, and ask, okay, as to how SCC in particular can have a proper regulatory framework in place. What is that we should do better, right, in terms of having a proper regulatory framework for them to invest in our country. So they are very happy to talk to us and give their opinion. And then let me go through briefly some statistics about the progress that we have made.
Before you do that, we have to again take another station break, and we will be back with Going Public shortly. Welcome back to Going Public. Lolith, you are talking about the input that we are seeking from foreign institutional investors, I think, and our foreign investment forums that we had outside.
That's right. Let me briefly go through some numbers that we have achieved as a result of conducting these investor forums and widely known as roadshows. The foreign investors accounted for 36.3% of the total market turnover and were the net buyers in the market with net purchases of 33.9 billion in 2013. Right. Now we have conducted road shows in 4 countries, namely India, Dubai, Hong Kong and Singapore. If I am to talk about India, in 2013 net outflow was about 10 billion, and in January to April 2014 it was a net inflow of 7 million, but still it's a
inflow as opposed to outflow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in the case of Dubai, it was 68 million was the net outflow, and in 2014 January to April it stands at 27 million net inflow. Taking Hong Kong, it was 175 million net outflow in 2013.
You're talking in dollar terms, of course.
Rupees, I'm sorry,
Okay,
it's
right.
rupees, I'm sorry. And in 2014 January to April only, it's 1.7 million, small though, but it's once again a net inflow. And when you take Singapore, it was a net outflow of about 2 billion. Now the net inflow is 647 million net inflow. So we strongly believe that there is a positive impact that we have created
From going there and
From
putting
going
the
there.
shining the spotlight on our capital market. Dr. Loditha brought in a interesting point, which is not only are we doing investor forums and going out and meeting people in various countries and shining a spotlight on Sri Lanka, you are also, you said you are engaging them one-on-one basis to get feedback as to, in fact, why are they coming or why are they not coming, or what can you do to make them come to Sri Lanka. How has this process begun, and what is the feedback that you're doing, and have you actually done anything about it?
Yes, in fact, the feedback has been very constructive, and we have made use of that. Let me give one example. One of the issues that was coming up repeatedly at the foreign roadshows was that the parcel size that is available for them to invest is too small. When you talk of foreign funds, they are large investors. It is
Right.
not economical for them to come and make small investment in a market when they move in. They like to see a certain volume there. For that, they didn't have enough stocks available to purchase from the companies. When we analyze our market, we found out almost more than 100 companies of nearly 290 listed companies had less than 10% liquidity
Right.
when we started these road shows. That is why we have brought in the directive now, request basically asking all listed companies to increase their public float to at
Right.
least 20% within the next 2 years,
Right.
which to some extent will address this issue. Another area where they were always talking about was related party transactions, investor protection. Again, you may have noticed we have brought in new directives, new regulations, strengthening this area, introducing certain code of related party transaction management, more disclosure. Another very interesting thing keeps coming up, particularly in the recent past, is whether our independent directors are really independent, because these foreign investors see us as a small community where we know each other. So they're asking, okay, you seem to be appointing independent directors to the company, but are they really independent? This, I would say, we haven't done anything yet, but this is something that we are working on. We need to do something about more education, more discussion in this area, so that we bring that confidence to the investors who are come and invest in the market.
Right. So we will hope to see some new action from that on this. I think we are also coming close to the end of the show. I would like to ask you, what do you see as the future? Of course, you spoke about some of the new developments, but on an overall picture, the future of the Colombo Stock Exchange or the capital market?
I like to see it as a number. In most of the markets, elsewhere, generally the market capitalization is more than the national GDP.
That's right.
So if you take Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Hong Kong, all the regional counterparts, they're more than the GDP. Whereas in our case, our market capitalization only 30% of the GDP.
Percentage,
so I think our first target has to be within next 4 years or 5 years to come to at least 50% level of our GDP. And by that time, it must be a sophisticated market which has the necessary tools, the infrastructure, the instruments available. Once you reach there, I think we can take the next step to go
Well,
from.
certainly, I think one of the biggest issues I think which we discuss is that yes, we have a good story. We are here. We are looking good. There is no more, uncertainty in most of the aspect that we suffered through for the last 30 odd years. But now they can't come. They want to move in tens of hundreds of millions of dollars. It is not possible. I think you have addressed some of these issues by increasing the float, bringing a clearing corporation, introducing bonds and other new instruments, and hopefully we'll see derivatives come into the market, which again will increase the liquidity. So it's all good news, and I hope that you will be successful in implementing most of what you have in your head. I think we have a good future to look forward to in the Sri Lankan capital market. And thank you, Chairman Dr. Nalaka Godeheva, and thank you, Commission Member Lorita Abesinghe, for coming to the studio and sitting with us for this Going Public program. Thank you. And over to you, Amaya.
Thank you, Vasula, for taking us through all the motions. And while thanking all of the experts who have been a part of our journey so far, we hope that you at home now have all the information you need to take your company and its future to the next level. With that, this is Amaya wishing you a good night one last time. Take care and all the best.